have the review of the brand new F850 GS, and it's had a completely new makeover. For me, this is where it's at, because with a bike like this, you can enjoy it on the street, but it's very capable off-road, and that's what I love about this one. They produced a new engine. It's a parallel twin, but they've made it fire like a V-twin. Got that kind of big bang engine so that it can recover. It gives it more torque, it gives it more character. With a gearbox, they've made the first, second and third gears really for more off-roading, and 4, 5 and 6 for more street and the freeway. So with that, you can enjoy this bike off-road. Then when you go onto the highway, you're still able to do good miles per gallon, keeping the revs low. So they've done a nice job with the gearbox. Now it's a completely new chassis as well, because they said that the last model, the 800, had some flex. So they've really tried to make this bike stronger. With all of that strength though, there's a little extra weight, another 12 kilograms. Sounds like a lot. Actually, I didn't feel it, and that's because as well, they've shifted that gas tank that used to be at the seat back to where it should be right here. Because having that weight in the back, when you fill up with gas, it just adds weight to the back of the bike, and then that affects the front. So what they've done, moved the gas tank back, moved the weight further forward, better stability, keeping that low centre of gravity as well. But that weight has come because of the stronger frame and those amazing spoked wheels and the tubeless. You can hammer this thing off-road. You know, if you do happen to nick a rim or bend a rim, it can be repaired with a spoked wheel. It's much more difficult with a cast, but a tubeless spoked wheel is definitely key, because then if you have a puncture, you can just plug the tyre, get on your way, no need to take the wheel out, no need to take the tube out, find the puncture, put all of that back together. That's a great feature. So riding mode wise, we've got rain, road, dynamic. All of these make changes to the horsepower, the throttle response, and adjust the semi-active suspension here on the rear. You can change your riding modes on the fly, no need to shut the throttle or do any of that. The mode's right here on your right bar, easy to go through, very clear display. Also, you can have Enduro Pro. You need to take the seat off, a special plug goes in, and with Enduro Pro, you can hit the off-road and be very, very capable. You lose your ABS at the back, you get a lot more spin before the traction control kicks in. But my goodness, even though you keep the ABS on the front, I've never ever ridden a bike off-road with ABS that's worked as well as this. They've kept the ABS separate so they don't confuse one another, and the ABS on the front in Enduro Pro mode has been fantastic. Yesterday I grabbed a handful in very muddy, wet conditions just to see what would happen, expecting to eat some dirt myself, and the bike came to a beautiful stop, very controlled. You'd struggle to do that as any skilled rider. The front suspension is not adjustable, and that's a surprise to me, because with a bike like this that you're going to take on-road and off-road, I always feel that you need some adjustment, because riding off-road and riding on the road are two totally different things. The adjustment is there for the rear, but it's not there for the front. Personally, it eats up rocks off-road. The front suspension is fantastic off-road, but on the street I find that it's a bit soft. You're not really able to corner as hard as what you probably could do on a bike with stiffer front suspension. But like I said, off-road is phenomenal, so it's always a compromise, but not having any adjustment in the front forks definitely limits that a little. Now dash wise, you've got a gorgeous 6.5-inch LED display, very clear, very easy to read, and gives you a lot of information, whatever you need. You've got a menu button right here on your left handlebar, you've got a wheel that you can scroll through for the menu. It's simple to use, it works very well, and I've really enjoyed the display here. On this side, heated hand grips. Why don't all motorcycles come with heated hand grips? It's like having a car with no heater. So heated hand grips really make a big difference. We've been in different weather conditions, different climates, different temperatures, and I've used those quite a lot. There's 3 settings, they work very well, enjoyed that. Now it shares some parts also from its bigger brother, the 1200, like the hand guards here, the front hub. But most of the parts here on this bike are completely new. I love the subframe. The subframe is a separate bolt-on system. All adventure bikes should have a bolt-on subframe because it's so easy to just lean your bike down, twist the subframe, especially if you've got panniers, and a bike that's welded from the subframe to the main frame really means you've got to replace the whole frame. So having a separate subframe is very key, and BMW have done a good job here. Having a separate subframe adds a little extra weight. It's a little bit more difficult for the manufacturers to do, but I think it's definitely the way forward. Now it's also got a quick shifter. Quick shifter on an adventure bike, believe it or not, works very well. They said it really works at best when it's at full throttle, but I've been using it for the last couple of days in all types of RPM and throttle positions. It works well. And then just close the throttle and bang it down the box. You don't need to use your clutch. Talking about the clutch, it has a slipper clutch. Really key there, especially off-road and on-road. When you go down the gearbox a little bit too quick, because of that extra torque they've got from this engine and the characteristics of this engine, you get a little bit more inertia from the engine as you shut off the throttle, so the slipper clutch just helps keep the rear wheel from skidding, keeps it all safe, and again the slipper clutch works well too. You actually get some of that feeling back through the lever. You get used to it. I ride with 1 or 2 fingers on the clutch all the time, hovering over the lever, and I could feel the kick from the slipper clutch, but it wasn't a problem. I could just feel it in my hand, but it worked very well with the engine. We've got here just some standard foot pegs. We've been riding off-road. Yesterday was pretty slippy because it was raining, and I did lose my footing a couple of times. But thankfully you can get a bigger foot peg. If I had this bike in my garage, I'd definitely fit the wider foot pegs. A bit more stability, a bit more grip, and definitely better off-road. What I love there is also that dual system there for the rear brake, because when you stood up on the pegs, it's harder to get the rear brake. So you just flick this little lever down, you get a little extra height on your rear brake lever. At the front here we've got a non-adjustable screen. Again, quite surprised that it's non-adjustable and that it's so small. I'd like to see, really, especially with a touring bike, a bigger screen or an adjustable screen. All riders are different heights, we're all different weights. It's not adjustable, but I have to say the wind went straight over my head. I've been wearing the XT4 with the peak and I had no problems with it buffeting or taking my head back. So clearly the screen works, but I'm quite surprised that there's no adjustment. So I love the keyless ride as ever with BMW. They've done a real nice job with that. I've just had the key in my pocket. You can't get into the gas cap unless the bike has stopped and you're close by with the key. So no problems there if you just walk away. As soon as you're away from the bike, no one can get into the bike, and you can't get into the gas tank unless the bike has stopped. Riding position I found to be very comfortable. I spent a lot of time up on the pegs off-road, sat down in the bike obviously off-road, and you really sit in the bike with this one. It's not very intimidating. The big 1200 GS is a big bike. I rode that in the Pyrenees last year, but when I took it off-road it's a little bit more difficult because it's such a big bike, and a big bike off-road, more weight, is just more difficult to manage. This, however, is not that difficult to manage off-road, and that gives you confidence as a rider. Because if you can ride off-road and you can see a trail and take it and get out the other side and have no problems, and then you're doing more trail riding, more trail riding, more trail riding, and then that really opens up the adventure section, and that's what this bike's made for. It's made to go on adventures, and it's very, very capable. You can fit some panniers to it, making it very adventurous. A nice big old seat here on the back with some big grab rails, so passengers are going to love this too. So the passenger pegs are also bolt-on. That's a good feature because you can just take those off if you're a solo rider, or also if you drop the bike and bend this kind of stuff, it's easily replaceable. The old ones used to be welded to the frame, so that's another good touch for an adventure machine. So in a nutshell, it's a completely new motorcycle. So for me, the mid-size adventure market is going to be booming over the next decade. BMW have made a great start here by introducing a bike that's got a load of off-road capabilities, nice to ride on the street, and has plenty of power. It's a good machine. If you like what you see, definitely get down to your dealership, check her out, and if you can, take a trail riding. You'll absolutely love it. Cheers. Good do.